Hello everyone. I don't normally do this type of stuff, but I am doing it in courtesy of one of my friends trying to edit, and she's doing great. However, it's some of the simple stuff that she's missing, and I'm here to run you through basically the basics of editing, how you can get your edit started if you're new to AE. This is pretty much the video for you. I'm going to try and keep it simplistic and simple for all of you. If you want, I do make edits. You can follow my editing account in the description, but you don't have to. You being here is more than enough. So without getting into it, let's just crack on. So for this, I'm going to be using the small screen layout, just so it's real easy, real simple for all of you, and that you don't have to deal with all of my crazy work panel. So first, if you haven't already, go find yourself an audio. Now this can be from SoundCloud, from Instagram. Just make sure it's an MP3 or an MP4. Okay, so we're going to use this audio from Yeten Edits. Sorry if I pronounced that. Please go follow the Instagram and the SoundCloud. So make sure you find a way to download it. Go into After Effects. If you want to import your audio, you can either go to File, Import, and then click File, or you can press Ctrl-I on your keyboard for short, or you can double click on this empty space. Now that you imported your audio, it's time to put it in a composition. A composition is basically, think of it as a folder. You open the composition and it has a video in it, or in this case, your edit. To make this into a composition, there's two ways of going on about it. You can either hold and drag onto this empty space right here, or you can drag it into this little box here. This would have made it into a composition. However, this may look different to you, and that's perfectly normal. Right click on this grey space here, click composition settings, or you can simply click composition settings in the composition section. You can name your edit whatever you want. I'm just gonna name it tutorial for y'all. That's the name of your edit. Width and height, this is the dimensions your edit is gonna be in. If you want a square edit, I'd recommend putting 1080 by 1080 or 140,000, like that. Really depends on how many pixels you want. Obviously, the higher the pixels, the higher quality your edit is going to be. If you're posting this on Instagram now, I'd recommend 1080 by 1080. If you want a landscape edit, so a kind of stretched video, you want to put 1920 by 1080, and this is what it would look like. If you want a kind of not square, but it has a vertical lift to it, you want to put 1080 by 1350, and that will make it kind of mobile look, kind of. If you want kind of like not a landscape but kind of boxy, you can put 1440 by 1080, and that will put it in this format here, and I tend to use this format. For this case, we're going to put 1920 by 1080, and that will put it in this. So just to run it down, landscape 1920 by 1080, 4:3 aspect ratio, that is 1440 times 1080, square 1080 by 1080, and then the other one 1080 by 1350. Frame rate is how smooth your edit is going to be. Obviously, the more frame rate, the more smoother. The less frame rate, the less smoother. Frames are basically how many images are in a second. So basically there'll be 30 frames, so 30 images in 1 second. The more images, the more smoother. I'd recommend putting it as 30 if this is your first edit, because you don't want to go below or higher than that. This is basically if you want to experiment with shit. Now you don't really need to mess about with this, since we have already done this and it should have already sorted your audio to the duration, so you don't really need to mess that about. However, if you do, this is milliseconds, this is seconds, this is minutes, and this is hours. Okay, now we've got that sorted, it's time to add in our markers. Now there's two ways you can do this. My personal favorite way is if you have the extension on your keyboard, then you can do this way. If you don't, then I'm sorry, you might have to go with the other way. You press the little dot, the period, and that will start playing the audio. While you do that, you press the little star on your keyboard and that will create a marker. A marker is basically showing you a bit in that. So I like to place markers wherever I hear a beat. So like that. This is pretty complex with how many markers I'm doing. We're not going to do that. The other way is to click on the audio layer. These are called layers, by the way. You double press L in a rapid succession, and as you can see here, you have waveforms. When a waveform spikes, that's when a beat is. That's when the bass is. So, as you can see, it's like that. To create a marker and you don't have that extension, you can always click on layer, markers, add marker. Now that you've got your markers and that they will show you where each clip should go, we can now get started to put in our clips in. So as I said, to import something, double click or Control I or go to the top. For this, I'm going to be editing Ellie. And as you can see, it will say .avi. This means it's a video file and it's not an .mp3, which means it will actually have a video on it. Now, a way that I would say is a good way to do this is to drag the video file onto the empty area, and it should pop up as another layer. By the way, if you want to scroll through your edit, you should see this nice little marker bit here. Hold on to that and you'll be able to scroll through your edit. To zoom in, simply down here. So I'd say go to your first marker and then find where you want your first clip to be by holding on the layer and moving left to right. Now, a little tip for all of you people who seem to find your edit slowly previewing. Click on this little box and turn it down to third or even quarter. What this will do is it will make your preview go faster. However, it will lose in quality. Don't worry, this won't make your edit bad when you render it. So this is where I want my first clip to be. So obviously, if we play the edit from the start, we're just going to see this.
I don't want to hear what that bigot has to say.
And it's not what we want. So we go to the marker, we want to Control Shift D, and that will create a cut. This has split the clip, and then we can delete this part. So now, there's nothing before this, and it will start on the marker. If you don't want any audio from the video, you can just click on this audio bit here. And if yours doesn't look like this, you just need to toggle the switches like that. You can obviously rearrange your layers by holding on to your layer and dragging it up or down. Now, to end this clip, go to the next marker, Control Shift D, and that will split it again. And then you can do it again, drag it to where you want the next clip to be. So for example, I want this to be my next clip. Control Shift D, I can take off this bit, just make sure you're not deleting the wrong layer. Go to the end of this marker, press D, and then if we just move that, there you go, we got our 2 clips. Like that. By the way, I should have said, if you want to delete a layer, you simply have to click on the layer and then press delete or backspace on your keyboard. If you accidentally delete the wrong layer, don't worry, go to the top and then you'll be able to undo clear layer, or Control Z for short. Now that you've got all your clips, and hopefully it should look like this, you're able to play it through, make sure the clips match the beat. If that is what yours looks like, then great job, you're doing it right. Now, the next step is a bit confusing, however, it links to what a composition is. Now, remember what we said earlier, a composition is like a folder. Simply like that. So, let's go to our first clip. We can go to the start of it by going to the markers. We're going to put this clip in a composition. Now, sometimes, if you want to scale your clip, like for example, you don't want this beautiful being in the edit, you just want this beautiful being, you can click on this arrow here, you can click on transform, and then you'll have all the transform possibilities. Scale is scale it in or zoom it in and zoom it out. Position is moving it about. Rotation is rotating it. And opacity is how clear it is. Sometimes your clip can be like that, or sometimes your clip can be like that. If it's that case, scale it down or scale it up to how much you want. Just make sure that your clip does not have any black borders around it. If that's the case, zoom it up and make sure there's at least some room and that it fills the whole picture. Now that you've done that, we can continue to pre-compose him. Click on the layer and make sure it's only that layer selected. Control Shift C is how you'll be pre-composing. However, if you want the easier way, click on layer, click on pre-compose, and then you should get this dialog box. Now I am running After Effects 2020, so this should look the same for any future versions or anything up to 2018, 2017 After Effects. If you're running CS6, this should look the same. However, you won't get some dialog boxes that we are going to be using today. Yours might look like this. This should be checked. We do not want this checked. I don't think there's ever a scenario that I've actually used that checkbox, so I'd say you always want to use the section option. Move all attributes into a new composition. So this pretty much means this layer will be in a composition by itself, and it'll be in a nice little folder. You also want to check this box, adjust composition duration to time span of the selected layers. What this means is that the composition will be from here to here. If it was unchecked, it would be the whole way. So let me show you what I mean. This is unchecked, and if we click OK, as you can see, it's the whole duration, and we don't want that. If we do check it, it only does the duration of the clip, so it still looks all nice and tidy. You want to do this with every single clip. And it should look like this. Let me show you what a composition is basically. So we've just made a composition for this clip. If we double click on it, our clip is still in there, and it's basically like a nice little folder. Now you might be saying, where's my edit gone? Oh my god, where's my other clips? It's fine. Your clips and edit is in this folder or composition. If you want to close a composition, click on that. It's still there, don't worry. You're only closing it from your window. You ain't deleting it or anything. Now that we've done that, and you make sure, that all your clips are in the right sense, then we can get started to add in motion tile. What the second option would have also done is that the layer size, so that could have been a square, fits to the composition. If we do this, as you can see, it goes over the composition. What the second option does, makes it nice and neat, and it just takes away that bit, and we still have this bit. So it pretty much deletes all of this bit because it's not being used. Now that we've got that all done and dusted, it's time to move to motion tile. Motion tile is that nice little tile you see when someone zooms out and basically leaves no black borders. Click on the nice little layer, click on effects and presets, and you just want to type in motion tile. Now you should see motion tile up here. If you don't, you might have installed After Effects wrong, because I don't know anyone who hasn't had motion tile. Have your layer selected and double click on motion tile. Or, even better, have no layer selected and just drag it on. And there you go, it's there. Many different ways to do it, whatever way works for you. We only want to be focusing on the output width and output height and mirror edges. I'm going to zoom this clip out real quick just so you can see the effects of it. Output width is your width, so that's how many tiles you want out. Let me zoom a little bit more. As you can see, the more width, the more tiles. Exactly the same for this. The more height, the more tiles. I tend to go for a good range, 300. You can go for how many more you want. I'd say anything over 1,000 is a bit unnecessary. Mirror edges is as simple as click on it and it mirrors the tiles. Now go into your next clip and add motion tile again, and make sure that whatever you have set it as, so I've set mine as 300 for my first clip, set it for all your other clips. It just makes it nice and tidy and make sure that nothing is wrong in any places, and make sure you mirror edges, of course. Now that you have done that for all your clips, so for this, we can move on to adding motion blur. Now motion blur is what makes your edit smooth when you do your transitions and doesn't look all weird and jaggedy. This is really simple and basically don't need much to it. So you want to highlight all of your clips, and by doing that you can just simply go to click on the layer, and then while holding shift click on the top layer, and then those should highlight all of them. However, if you want some clips to have motion tile and some not, hold control, and then you can simply click on what you want to have motion tile and what not. For this case, I want all of them. To add motion tile, it's real simple as a simple click. You see these 2 or 3 little dots, 3 little circles I should say. There should be a box right below. If not, you just need to toggle the switches and it should pop it like that. Just make sure you highlight all your clips again. Click on the box and it should have put motion tile on all of them. If not, you can just simply click on the boxes. Now, motion tile is not added on yet. You need to make sure that this is enabled so it turns nice and blue. If it's not blue, that means motion tile is not affected. Now that you've done that and you have your nice beautiful mwah of Eclipse, it's time to do the transitions. Let's go with this first clip and let's do a simple zoom out straight here. So let's zoom into the clip and let's get started. We want a zoom out from the black to the clip, so let's click on this arrow over here, click on transform, and then you should be familiar with all of these. Click on the little, since this is a zoom out, click on the little stopwatch next to scale, and that should have created a nice little keyframe right here. Go to near the end of the clip, not at the end, but one frame before, and then click on this little diamond right next to it. Here, as you can see, it has created two nice keyframes, one here near the end, and one here right at the beginning of our clip. Double click on this keyframe and a nice little box should have popped up. Since we want this to be a zoom out, we want to turn down the percent. Larger the percent, the zoomed in. Smaller the percent, zoomed out. So zoom it out to how much you like it. I'm going to say here, and then click OK. And if we play it by pressing space, that's what we have. Smooth, and as you can see, motion tile is now added. Lovely. You're doing it great. We want it to be fast and slow, not slow then fast, because that's a in transition. What we're doing currently is an out position, not position, transition. What you do is click on the actual word scale here, and that should highlight both of the keyframes. If not, you can simply drag any empty space and make sure both of these keyframes are selected. Now, to make these smooth, or known as technical wise, easy ease, right click on one of the keyframes, keyframe assist, and click on easy ease. Now you might say, where did my motion blur go? Still there, don't worry, we just haven't done the graphs. Highlight both keyframes again, and then click on this nice little symbol here. It should be called the graph editor. If yours looks like this, don't worry, click on value graph and make sure scale is only selected, and then it should look like this. If it still doesn't look like this, you might have it on speed graph and it looks like this. Click on the line and then it should bring up this box. If not, you simply have this unchecked. Now, you should see these two lines, one at the top here, one at the bottom here. If not, it will be up here and down here. These dots at the end of the lines are what you're going to be using to move the graph. As you can see, I'm moving the graph about. Now, because this is a zoom out transition, we want it to be fast and then slow. So move this dot all the way up, and you can move this dot kind of closer. The closer it is to the other dot, the faster the transition is. The further away, the slower the transition is. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to move this a good distance away from each other. So as you can see, the transition goes throughout the whole clip. If I bring it towards, you can see it does a very sharp movement. I like to have mine at equal distance. About that and about that. And that's my transition done. Unclick this to go back to this view. And there you go. You have just done your first transition. On your way to becoming a pro. Now, let's say we want a rotation. So, as I said, this time we want it to be slow then fast. Let me show you what I mean by that. When an editor edits, when they do the transition, it will tend to go slow, and then when the clip ends, that's the fastest the transition will go. And then on to the next clip, it will be fast and then slow. So what we do is we go to the end of this clip and then we click on the stopwatch next to rotation, and then that will create a nice little keyframe. Let's go to the beginning of our clip, maybe not the beginning but one frame forward, and we create another keyframe. And then as you can see, we have created 2 keyframes. Again, looking familiar? Double click on the end one, so the one that is moving to our next clip. Double click on that and then just change the degrees. Positive is clockwise, negative is counterclockwise. So I'm just going to do a good 90 degrees. And as you can see, that moves our clip to the right. Now to make this smoother, remember we need to easy ease the keyframes. Highlight both keyframes. Just make sure when you're doing this, do not accidentally highlight these 2. Once you have highlighted both of the rotation or whatever you're doing, it could be a position, but for this instance we're doing a rotation. Right click, go into keyframe assist, click on easy ease, and you have done it again. Click on the graph editor and then it should look like this, or if you're using the speed graph, it should look like this. Now because this is going on to the next clip, we want this dot to be going down and this dot to be going towards the next clip, or towards the other dot. Adjust it to how you sit like, and it should look like this. If it doesn't look like that, you might have accidentally put the dots in the wrong way. In that case, you can easily just adjust like that and then play again. And there you go. Press the graph editor again, and there you go. You have just made a out transition into a in transition. Now of course we haven't completed this rotation transition yet because this clip is still not moving. What do? Click on the arrow again, transform, and then click on rotation at the beginning of the clip, and then one before the end, click on the diamond. Double click on the keyframe on the in, so the first one, and then since we put it as positive 90, we want to do a negative 90. So if you're doing a zoom in and you put the value as 200%, in the next clip you would want to do a smaller value, so like 40%. If you're doing a zoom out and you put it as 40%, you want to do it as like 200%. Whatever you want, just make sure that if you're zooming in to the clip, the next clip zooms out. If you're zooming out, you zoom in. Highlight both keyframes, right click, keyframe assist, easy ease. Go into the graph editor, make sure rotation is only selected. If not, it will just show up with these other lines here. Make sure rotation is only selected. Click on the line, and because this is going in, we want it to go out. So this going up, this going towards, and we can have a look. There we go. Now, you will come across a issue where you might want to do another rotation in the same clip. So let's just say in this clip, we've done a rotation, however, I want it to rotate back. That's totally fine, and we can absolutely do that, no problemo. Go to Effects and Presets at the top where you got your motion tile from, and type in Transform. where it says transform underneath the store, double click on it or drag it onto your layer and make sure you have the right layer selected. Here you will see your motion tile and the new effect transform. Now this is exactly the same as if we was doing it down here, but it's just up here. Nothing different at all. Go to the beginning of the clip, add a keyframe, not a keyframe, but click on the stopwatch, and then this would have created a keyframe. Now you might be saying, but where's the keyframe? I can't see it down here. Calm down, you're fine. In this case, press U on your keyboard, and this would have shown your new keyframe. Now don't get mixed up. This is what we have done the transition, and this is the new transition that we're doing. Go to the end of the clip, and remember, put it to however you like. So because we're doing it -90, on the next clip, it will be +90. Highlight the keyframes, right click, keyframe assist, easy ease, go into your graph editor, click on the line, and then do your graph. Now if we have a look, so if we come out of the graph editor, go to the beginning of this clip and have a look at the edit now, we should see that it rotates in and rotates back out. Exactly how I want it. Beautiful. So as we do, this is the next clip. Arrow, transform, rotation at the beginning, add a new keyframe near the end, double click on the one at the beginning, and because we did it -90, we want to put it at 90. Click on rotation, make sure they're highlighted, or do it like that. Right click on a keyframe, keyframe assistant, easy ease, go into your graph editor. If it looks like that again, just click on rotation, click on the line, and because we did this other one going in, this wants to go out. So we've just done that. Now let's have a look. And that's how your edit is looking. It should be looking like that, and you're doing a superb job. If so, what I'd say now, I'm not going to do the rest of these because it would make for a very long watch me edit. Do your transitions and then come back to me when you have done your transitions. Before you do them though, please watch this bit if you want any slides. If you want a slide on your edit, then right click on position. Position, what we said earlier, moves the actual video about. If you want a slide, right click on position and then click separate dimensions, and then this should show a X and a Y. X is horizontal, so left and right. Y is up and down. Go to the beginning, click on what you want. So I want a horizontal. Click on the X, click on the X stopwatch next to X position. Go to the end and then just move it about. If you want to know what it looks like, hold on to the keyframe, drag it to the left, and then you're able to see what it looks like while you're dragging it about. Just make sure that you drag the keyframe back to the end of the clip. Highlight the keyframes, make sure you easy ease them. Go into your graph editor and do your graphs. And it should look like that. If you do forget to put your keyframe back at the end, this is what it would potentially look like. It would look kind of unsmooth at the end, since there's no motion blur right at the end. So just make sure that there is motion blur at the end. If you don't have motion blur enabled, click on the checkbox here and make sure this is highlighted blue. Remember, we always need an out transition if we've done an in transition. So click on transform, make sure you're doing the arrows, right click on position, separate dimensions, and because we did a X position, we click on X position again. Now this is where it can get a little bit confusing, however, just stick with me. We've done a transition that the actual clips move right. So if we go to our new clip, we don't want it to go this way because this is moving it right. We want it to move it this way because we're moving it left. So if the edit goes right, we want it to go left again. If it goes left, it goes right. Highlight the clip, highlight the frame, sorry, easy ease, go into here. If it looks like this, click on X position and do your keyframe, do your graph. You're doing it. You've just done your beautiful slide. I have done my clips, but when I watch it, where's the loop? I've seen most edits have a loop. Where's the loop? Calm down. We're going to create another composition, basically a folder, and this is where we're going to loop our edit. So as we were saying before, we want to click on one layer, hold shift and click on the top layer, or holding control, click on each individual layer of your edit. We want to pre-compose again, and if you do remember, great, you're already better than me. However, if you don't, that's fine. Click on layer at the top and then click on pre-compose, or shortcut Control Shift C. For me, it's hashtag because I changed it. You will get this dialog box again. Make sure it's these settings. You always want it to be these settings because I never used the top one. What have we done? Where's my clips? Don't worry, double click on it. Your clips are here. You can always click the compositions to change between each one. Go to the end of your edit, so when it goes black, make sure you have your edit layer selected. Click on edit and click on duplicate or Control D. And then what you want to do is just drag the edit to your marker. So that you can see all transitions and everything. Go to File, go to Export, and then add to render queue. And then it should look like this. Then click on where it says Untitled 1. It should say Untitled 1. And then it should come out with output module settings. The settings I do recommend is QuickTime, because this is .mp4 or .avi. I always use QuickTime. Uncheck include project link, and then you want to leave all of this untouched. Just make sure audio output is on. Click on format options over here, and then you should see video codec. Put that to none, uncompressed, because we want the best quality for our edit. Click on OK once you've done that, and then click on OK once you've done that. Over here underneath log and where it says output 2, click on the blue text and then go to where you want to save your edit and type in what you want it. Once you have done that, click on render and it should be rendering to where you have saved it. Now, thank you for sticking with me on this. I do appreciate you trying to learn how to edit. I think I have been editing for about 5-6 years now, and I still enjoy it to this day. I have made countless edits, and I just have a huge passion for watching them and making them. It's just so much fun, and it's really a way to it's a good way to find out who you want to be, who you are as yourself as well, because you can kind of express how you're feeling into an edit as well. Now, if you did enjoy this, good. Please make yourselves great edits in the future. All that I ask for you to do is don't give up. I don't want you to subscribe. I don't want you to click on my Instagram and watch my edits, because I do this for me. I don't really bother with how many views I get. I do this because I enjoy doing it. Please don't subscribe if you don't want to. All I ask for you to do is don't give up. If you truly feel like you want to edit, don't give up. It didn't take me a day to get this all done. It took me countless hours until I got the hang of it. All I ask for you is don't give up on anything, even if it's playing a game, if it's doing your work, if it's a new job that you really want to get. Just don't give up, because what's the point in giving up if it's something you love? Why would you give up on it? Or if it's something you really want to get better at, why give up on it? That's what I asked you for. I hope you all have a splendid day. Have yourselves the sweetest edits. Please, oh my god, please DT me in what you make. My Instagram is @JamieEdits. Please DT me what you make, because I would love to see what yous come up with. If you want me to make more tutorials, please write them down in the comment section. I would love to be more active and more open on here. Thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a brilliant day.